Clinton apparently has a total lack of self-awareness. In a recent interview, she said it's hard enough making a living if you're not encouraged to get up every day and try to find common ground with other people. Democracies need leaders who endeavor to bring out the best in us, not the worst, who don't play to our fears but help to address them. How could critics not go right at this?
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
I've been looking for a really good way to define the word irony. She is it. Power panel now. Cassie Smedley, Executive Director at America Rising PAC. Leslie Marshall, Fox News contributor. Great to see you both. Leslie, I'm going to come to you first. When you hear Hillary Clinton say, basically she's looking for peace in politics, I'll just kind of drill it down. But you're the woman who's known as calling the other half who maybe wouldn't vote for you deplorables to sell your policies. I mean, that is irony rich.
Well, when she said that, I came out as one of the few Democrats that said, not a good idea. That could have been a nail in the coffin, and it was. So I don't, it can be irony, but it also can be hindsight is 2020. She is not a president. She is not a senator any longer. And I think she is speaking to the leadership because we see such not just a division, Harris, in our nation. We see divisions within my party, the Democrats, within the Republican Party, within districts within those parties, and the list goes on. And fear, whether on the left or the right, has been politically and historically a great motivator for voters, sadly, more so than hope.
Well, people are pretty afraid right now every time they go to the store. Like, I don't think we need any more of it. She's right about that. Cassie?
Yeah, I will just say Hillary Clinton was successful in unifying the country against voting for her. People felt very strongly that she should not be the president of the United States. And you bring up a good point about people are very frustrated right now with the prices at the grocery store, the prices at the pump. Put on top of that the negative rhetoric from Democrats, whether that's Chuck Schumer standing on the steps of the Supreme Court, encouraging violence against Supreme Court justices, or you've got Biden's own DOJ that says parents who are just trying to get a good education for their kids should be categorized as domestic terrorists. People are saying, hold up. We actually have a lot in common, and we want our elected officials to bind together on that which we have in common. But this inflamed rhetoric that maybe, as Leslie says, encourages people to go vote actually is so discouraging to the American people. And I think the Democrats need to have a little family meeting, get together, and tell each other to knock it off because it's their policies and their rhetoric that is driving them to have a very bad election day this November.
Hillary Clinton criticizing the media, calling them, quote, much too reluctant to stand up for the truth in the face of massive lying, to call a lie, to be on record as saying that we are in a struggle between democracy and authoritarianism. And it can't just be business as usual. But just last month, Clinton's former campaign manager, Bobby Mook, testified that Hillary Clinton herself approved leaking since debunked material to the media claiming a link between the Trump organization and a Russian bank. Reverse order now. Cassie, back to you.
Yeah, I think it's, as you started off the segment with irony, it's ironic because Hillary Clinton had no issue fanning the flames of questions about the integrity of the 2016 election for the entirety of Donald Trump being in the office. And she had many friends in the media who did that work for her. And yet again, this is what people are tired of. And Democrats who continue to say, if you're a Republican, not only do I just disagree with you, I think you're a bad person. And we see that in America Rising. We watch all of these Democrats events, town halls, Zoom events. And this is the type of rhetoric that they say when they think no one is watching, let alone what we hear when the cameras are on them. And the Americans are really fed up with it. I think that's why you're seeing that in the polling right now. 72% of people think Congress is in the wrong direction. 57% don't like what Joe Biden's doing for America, so it's a real problem for them.
Yeah, Leslie, calling a lie in the mainstream media, what we are starting to see is some of those members go after this administration for lies about where we are with our economy, for what's happening at the border, so on and so forth. So, again, Hillary Clinton may be getting it right. I'm not sure if it helps her own team, though.
I'm a big believer in calling a lie a lie. I can't stand this misspoke, and I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican. I think what's happened, Harris, is that we have seen for years, and I spoke to you about this before on this program, the lines blurred between journalism and opinion. And I think and we see that online, right? Somebody will say, oh, well, he said, no, well, that was his opinion. That is not fact. 2 + 2 is 4 is fact. 2 + 2 could be 5, in my opinion, is not. And I think that's what we have among all voters. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or don't want to align themselves with a political party. Journalists needs to report the facts, not be giving their opinion about it. And people who are opinion talkers, whether on television, radio, in print, on blogs, are doing just that. And I think the voters need to educate themselves as to which is which.
Well, if we do our jobs well, they won't have to work hard doing that because they're busy right now. They're trying to run their households on much, much less than they had even a year ago. Primary elections in full swing, setting the stage for the November midterm elections. A new Fox News poll shows a growing number of voters prefer the Republican over the Democrat in their House district. That's just generic. Who do you like? An R or a D? They're picking the R's. Inflation ranking as the top issue among voters. They feel Republicans can handle that better than Democrats. A special election in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas is also raising alarm bells for Democrats. Myra Flores, a Republican, flipped a blue House seat in a district where 85% of residents are Latino. Her victory made the Democrat Party's razor-thin House majority so slim you can barely see it. So what's the strategy here, Leslie, and what did Democrats just really lose?
One, they didn't put money into this election. Two, they weren't paying attention on a national level to this 34th district because it is a special election. And as you know, in November, Congressman Gonzalez, a very popular incumbent among Democrats and Hispanics, is going to be running. Don't go to Vegas, but my prediction is he's going to take that seat back. Also, Texas is redrawing its districting, and there will be more Democrats, not just Latinos, in that district. But there were people that not just ignored Hispanic voters, but ignored that race entirely. That was a big mistake on the part of my party.
You know, Cassie, to hear that's very transparent by Leslie, right? They're ignoring it. Boy, they better cut that out. 145 days to the midterm elections, and 22% of young people like the idea of Democrats and Joe Biden and how he's doing, particularly on the economy. 24% of Hispanics, they have to pay attention.
Yeah, I think that it was very honest of Leslie to say they weren't paying attention, but not just in Texas. They're not paying attention nationally, and they haven't been for the last 2 years when they pushed through trillions of dollars, our taxpayer dollars, to push through their policy agenda. And look where that's left us. We are hurting. We are all feeling the pain of their policy decisions, and whether that's rhetoric or policy, the American people are saying, I want somebody new. And that's bad news for Democrats in November.
Cassie, Leslie, thank you very much.